Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 6. If you smell what the Arch is cooking, I'm your host, Archie Mitchell. We are back for another exciting week of wrestling action and ranting. That's right, it's time for you, the listener, to crack open your favorite frosty beverage and listen to me spew my venom and my hate and my love for this great sport of professional wrestling. And this week, we are back to once again reviewing NXT on Tuesday night. Um, this will probably air this coming Thursday, but NXT did air tonight on Tuesday evening. And the reason we are not doing both NXT and AEW is because AEW is still on hiatus from their normal Wednesday night time spot because of the NBA Finals. So we'll make do with what we have. Next week, I will be reviewing the NXT pay per view in your house takeover. It should be a fantastic show. So just stay tuned. I promise next week I will do incorporating some of the AEW action that happened this coming Friday and the NXT pay per view as well. So don't fret. We will talk about everything as we usually do. We're going to start off this week with our quick hits. I've decided that quick hits need to be at the beginning of the show because they're newsworthy items, things that we need to talk about, and maybe it'll help spill into what's going on in tonight's show as well. So, with our quick hits, we go to our first one, and we have found out that Andrade Ildio, or however you say it, I'm just as bad as good old JR on AEW. Andrade has signed with AEW. He is now all elite, and this is incredible. I love it. I know that he and Kenny Omega will be battling for the AAA Mega Championship, Triple Mania. So it only makes sense for him to go to AEW so he can actually interact with the champion Kenny Omega, and they have a little bit of a feud going into this title match. What's kind of weird is that I don't know if that means that Zelina Vega will be eventually going to AEW because there's been talk that she might be going back to the WWE. But now that her husband, Aleister Black, Tommy End, has been fired from the WWE, it makes sense that if he goes to AEW as well, that maybe Zelina will also. But for right now, Andrade is in incredible hands. He was introduced and apparently has a working relationship with Vicky Guerrero. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen there. To also see what's going to happen between him and Kenny Omega. If he and Kenny do start a feud, I think Vicky versus Don Callis would be great for trading barbs and actually, verbally abusing one another. So yeah, I'm down for it. I'm definitely down for it. Our second piece of news is that Braun Strowman may be retiring. Braun was among the names that were released last week by the WWE, and he said that when he finally leaves the WWE, it will be when he finally takes off his boots and no longer gets back inside a ring anywhere. His lifelong dream was to be in the WWE, and I guess now that he's no longer there, he feels that there are other opportunities, which there are. He could go into bodybuilding like he wants to. He could go back to strongman. He could even be in Hollywood as an actor. I mean, he's got great charisma, in my opinion. Why not? It just seems weird that he wouldn't look to take up another company on an offer and make some great money in this business, which I'm sure he has already. But whatever the big guy does decide, Braun Strowman, this chug is for you. Godspeed, and I hope that whatever you do, you stay in the spotlight, and we still get to enjoy you as we have for the last few years in WWE. So, our final quick hit, as it was a slow news week, and this one was personal for me to add because I couldn't stand it. We had Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather this week on pay per view. Logan Paul, as you know, is a YouTuber. He and his brother like to incite riots and get people's attention. And in my opinion, Logan Paul is nothing more than a loudmouth. And he's one of those things that if you don't look at it and give it the attention that he so richly craves, he'd go away. But people are giving him that attention, as is Floyd Mayweather. They had a boxing match which went 8 rounds. At one point in one of the rounds, Floyd Mayweather landed a haymaker and knocked this guy out, but he held him up and he did not let him fall to the mat. He let him come to his senses. And apparently, Floyd Mayweather doesn't care about his legacy. He only cares about money. Why do I say this? Well, if you were a former world heavyweight champion, an undisputed world heavyweight champion, or light heavyweight champion, excuse me, and you were actually respected, you had great matches with Manny Pacquiao, you had a decent match against Conor McGregor, and matches with some of the best in this business, you would not step foot in the ring with a YouTuber. You would not hold him up when you knocked him down legitimately, and you would not agree to a match that doesn't have a winner because you're just sparring. This is not like Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. in any way, shape, or form. Um, in my opinion, this was a mockery of the sport of boxing. And I know this isn't wrestling, and I know this isn't what grinds my gears, but what this is me saying that I do not believe that Floyd Mayweather should no longer be taken seriously in this business of boxing or in the entertainment business. And I believe that it's time that we told guys like Logan Paul to go away. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. We're all entitled to our opinion. But a YouTube influencer who has never done anything for their actual money, has spewed racial slurs, has done ugly things to people, and now all of a sudden decides he wants to be a professional boxer, he needs to go fuck himself. That's plain and simple. He is not a good human being. He is not someone that anyone should look up to, and he should definitely not be in the limelight and be allowed to make money off of anybody who thinks that he's cool. So that's just my 2 cents, and that was quick hits, not the what grinds my gears rant of the week yet. We'll get to that a little later on. So our next segment, moving on, is NXT. And I was interested to see what NXT had to offer this week because we are 5 days away from NXT Takeover in Your House. I love the In Your House theme. I love that NXT adopted it and is using it. And we start off this week's show with a recap from last week with Adam Cole and Karrion Kross face to face. And we now know that the Fatal Five Way will take place at Takeover. Thank you, Mr. Regal. This is sure to be a banger of a match. I know some people don't like multi-person, matches. I've bitched about them before, but you have five credible wrestlers in the ring. You've got Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, uh, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano, excuse me, Adam Cole, and Karrion Kross, the current NXT champion. All of these men have been champion inside of NXT. A couple have been NXT champions, such as Cole and Gargano. Dunn has been the UK champion, and Kyle O'Reilly has been the tag team champion. So they all know how to have a big match. Karrion Kross, in my opinion, is the future of WWE. So I cannot wait. This is how you do a multi-man match. You don't just open the show and say, okay, here's five people and we're going to let them fight. No. And then we're going to do a rematch next week. No. And then we're going to have them fight again in a couple weeks. No. You actually build a story where Adam Cole wants Karrion Kross, but Karrion Kross wants everybody in the division because, according to Karrion Kross, everybody dies. We open up the show, though, with our first matchup, and it's Austin Theory and Oney Lorcan. And this matchup, stemming from last week when they got into each other's faces over Dunn and Gargano being taken out by Adam Cole. And both guys exchange some wrist locks, but then it immediately breaks down into a brawl. They hit each other with some big moves, some powerhouse moves here. Great showing for both guys. But then Austin Theory gets distracted by Dunn and Gargano on the outside, and Oney Lorcan picks up the win in a hard-fought match that goes 15 minutes. Good opener. Great way to start the show, in my opinion. If you're going to give us two young talents who deserve to be at the opening match. Make them show us what they got. And that's what they did. LA Knight is now chilling in the lap of luxury in a hot tub with some girlies and trying to prove to MDM that he's deserving of carrying the legacy of the $1 Million Man. I'm liking this a lot. Both Grimes and Knight can use this type of booking. They're both still young. They have both showed that they can be great successes in other companies. So it only makes sense for a legend like the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, to come in and give them a little bit of a rub to see who's going where. And oh my God, it's Doc Hendricks. And he is giving us a slam jam for NXT TakeOver in Your House. This is funny as hell. He is in full on Doc Hendricks character, Michael Hayes. I got to tell you, perfectly done, in my opinion. Hayes, as Doc Hendricks, was always so funny for me. And this really brought back some memories seeing him in the back and screaming at the top of his lungs, telling us what to expect at In Your House. And then when we get back into the arena, we have Santo Escobar and his crews hanging out in the ring, and they're calling out Bronson Reed. And Reed wastes no time. The North American champion comes out. He shows us how he squashed Santos Escobar last week en route to MSK holding on to the World Tag Team titles. And he jumps in the ring to answer Escobar's challenge. And MSK comes out to help him and have his back as he did for them last week. And I have to say, I'm loving the program between these six men. And what I heard here is that Santos Escobar wants himself and Elgado de Fantasma to take on Bronson Reed and MSK in a six-man match for both the NXT tag team titles and the North American Championship. And I love this. A winner take all for all the gold in a six-man tag. Again, this is how you book a multi-man match. You don't just throw guys out there for no reason or because Teddy Long came out in his ill-fitting jacket and say, hey, we're going to have a tag match. No, you build it over weeks. That's what we're getting here. I just don't know when. And wait a second. Okay, Hit Row is coming out. I thought they were going to actually put in a match, but apparently they have a match coming up. And oh, thank God it's only Swerve Scott that will be in action when we get back from this commercial break. We've got Swerve Scott taking on Killian Dane in our matchup as we come back from commercial. This is a big difference in styles, but it should be good. But to be honest, the beginning is a little lackluster. After a little bit of back and forth, Swerve hits a big kick in the corner thanks to the distraction from Hit Row on the outside, and he gets the win in 5 minutes. Not the best and not the worst. I still say that Hit Row is the created wrestling crew. Maybe that's just me. I mean, they're great in the ring, but their look, I don't know, very, very just thrown together. But whatever, maybe they'll grow on me. Apparently, Poppy is now here. What's a Poppy? Backstage, Candace and Indy cut a promo about Poppy. What's a Poppy? Indy still loves Dexter, and Candace isn't happy, so we go to a commercial. Back from the break now, and it's time for Cameron Grimes to show off to Ted DiBiase, and he's basically doing the same thing LA Knight did, but in his own little rednecky type of way, and I like it. It's comic gold, and it's the way it should be when you're dealing with Cameron Grimes. I think that Grimes needs MDM in his corner or as his manager more so than LA Knight, because LA Knight has been a former world champion in his time in Impact Wrestling, and maybe Grimes could use the rub a little more. But either way, it's going to be great. The dynamic of both of them has been absolutely perfect, and it'll probably end up being LA Knight who gets the managerial skills of Ted DiBiase. Maybe not. I don't know where this is going yet, but I'm loving it. And then Mercedes Martinez makes her way to the ring to have a matchup. But during her entrance, Xia Li, her up and coming opponent for In Your House, attacks her. And these two women trade some heavy shots. Looks like they're going to have a full out brawl. Martinez gets Xia Li out of the ring and then says, ring the bell. And in 1 minute, squashes her no name opponent. And I find this pointless. I don't know what this was done for. I get it, but women should have had a brawl. But then you let her go on to squash this young lady who we don't know. Just, let them brawl. Let them fight out of the arena. Let them do what they want. Involve that scary looking woman that sits on a throne. I don't care. But this just didn't make any sense. And then we go to the back, and Breezango is interviewed about Imperium Walter, and it's a little silly and again pointless. But that leads us to seeing the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, making his way to the ring, which I am all for. We come back, and we're backstage with Triple H, William Regal, and they're talking to Poppy. What the fuck is a Poppy? Oh, she's a musical artist. Okay. And apparently she has a NXT album coming out, which she just pushed a button and it's been released now. I didn't know that we had that kind of technology in the world. Okay. Good for Poppy. And apparently Dexter Loomis loves her. Poor Indy Hartwell. And now we've got LA Knight and Cameron Grimes coming out to the ring. They're going to have a face-to-face encounter with $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and see what his announcement is going to be. I'm really hoping it's what I'm thinking it's going to be. I really hope it's what they've been talking about on the internet. I won't spoil it yet. So we're going to see all three are in the ring now, and MDM begins to lay it on the line to Grimes and Knight. And we now have a ladder being lowered from the rafters, and it's gold with green money signs on it. Okay. All right. LA Knight grabs the mic and says he's willing to do anything to carry the MDM legacy. This is followed by Grimes pleading his case, and it's all, once again, comedy gold because Cameron Grimes in this character is fantastic. So, the $1 Million Man says, all right, boys, you're going to climb this ladder. Cameron Grimes asks, what are we climbing for exactly? And then it is brought into the ring by a group of security guards, a nice looking suitcase, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, the $1 Million Championship is back on the airwaves, and it will be fought for by Cameron Grimes and LA Knight in a ladder match at TakeOver in Your House. This is what I wanted, and I think everybody else did as well. If you heard the reports a couple of weeks ago, $1 Million Man was bringing the $1 Million title back to TV and on NXT. I know it's not an actual world title, obviously. It's only been defended a couple times. And of course, the run with the Ringmaster was okay, and then the run with Ted Jr. was that. But I think this time around, whoever wins it will give it the proper respect and a proper storyline for it as well. Backstage, Karrion Kross and Kyle O'Reilly are trying to murder each other, and tensions are running high in NXT as we go to yet another commercial break. And we are back, and it's Everrise. Fast forward. Yeah. The less said about that, the better. We go to the ring to find the grizzled young veterans coming out to take on August Gray and his tag team partner, a guy in a sport jacket. Okay. GYV may have thought that they came out here for a squash match, but their opponents are actually giving them a pretty good fight. Jacket guy is pretty good, actually. But why is he wearing a jacket? So the vets finally take the advantage and do some damage to Jacket Guy. Tommaso Ciampa and Thatcher come out, Timothy Thatcher, to taunt GYV just a bit, but that doesn't stop them from picking up the win in just under 10 minutes. Gibson grabs the mic to cut a promo and let Thatcher and Ciampa know that they're done with them. They're moving on to MSK, but Ciampa says that he refuses to allow them to go forward. He will not stop blocking the roadway. If they want MSK and the World Tag Team titles, they've got to go through them. So, great. I like it. Both these tag teams are very hard fought and, no pun intended, grizzled. This is what you want to see in a tag team match. But it's not going to be just any ordinary tag team match. It will be a tornado tag team match next week. And my friends, that's going to be a brawl. I foresee these guys fighting all over the arena. Back from commercial break, and we see how Lorcan and Dunn tried to take out Bobby Fish 2 weeks ago. Fish is training. He's coming back to get a piece of Lorcan before going after Pete Dunne. Candice LeRae now comes out. She's tired of hearing about Poppy. I love Poppy. Candice and says that she wants to face Poppy in the ring, and here comes Poppy. Poppy says she doesn't wrestle, but she knows someone who does. And It's the returning former NXT Women's Champion, Io Shirai. So are we forgetting about the women's tag team title so Candice can fight Io? Apparently we are. Io is kicking Candice's butt. Poppy loves it, and I love Poppy. We go once again backstage to another slam jam with Doc Hendricks, and he lets us know that the six-man tag team match for all the gold will happen at In Your House. Elgado the Fantasma taking on MSK and Bronson Reed with the NXT tag team titles and the North American title on the line. Should be fantastic. I hope Bronson Reed is not a transitional champion, but I also like Santos Escobar, so it's really going to have to wait and see what happens here and how they play this off. We also find out that Cameron Grimes and LA Knight will definitely be fighting for the $1 million title in a ladder match at In Your House Takeover. And this card is the most stacked card I think we've ever had. Fatal five-way for the world heavyweight title, women's title match, Raquel Diaz versus Ember Moon, the six-man tag for all the gold left in NXT, the $1 million title hanging from the rafters in a ladder match. We are jam-packed. I'm happy to see it. I can't wait for this Sunday to watch it and then review it with you guys next week. And now we go back to the ring, and it's, I guess, time for our main event match. Dakota Kai will be taking on Ember Moon. This match stems once again from last week when Moon was trying to get to Raquel Gonzalez, but Kai tried to take out Moon instead. And it's a decent back and forth match, but then just when Moon seems to be taking over and finish off Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez interferes, causes a DQ at the 11-minute mark. Why even have this match then? Why didn't we just lure Ember Moon into the ring and beat the crap out of her then? Or why didn't we end it after 2 minutes and maybe fit one more better match in? This doesn't make any sense. Gonzalez tries to take out Moon, but Ember ends up bouncing back and hitting the Eclipse and left her mark on the champion before their matchup at In Your House. And we then go backstage to see a pre-recorded interview with Karrion Kross, and he says that all of his opponents have no chance this Sunday, and he is eager to kill everybody. And then the champ says that, a takeover, TikTok, walks away. I love Karrion Kross. He can do no wrong in my eyes. He's had great matches with Finn Balor, a great match with Keith Lee. I can't wait to see how this match ends up going, going on this Sunday. We go to a quick commercial break, and then we come right back, and William Regal is in the ring now, reprimanding Karrion Kross about what he did with Kyle O'Reilly and all the craziness that's been going on in NXT. Kross stops Regal and lets him know immediately, you don't run NXT. This place has been in a shambles anyway, and he wants all of his opponents out to the ring so that he can start what he wants to earlier than this Sunday. So Kyle O'Reilly comes out first. Kyle said that he's, can't believe that Kross let Adam Cole get under his skin. And I don't know, Kyle is just trying himself to get under Karrion Kross's skin, but it's nothing that great. And then here comes Johnny Gargano, and he jumps on the announce table, and he says, can't believe Karrion Kross is even paying attention to O'Reilly and Cole, and he's the champion, but not after this Sunday. And then here comes Pete Dunne, and congratulations, we now have a clusterfuck. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, a good old clusterfuck, and it's on NXT. I don't like it. We didn't need this. We could have went to the pay-per-view without each of these guys having to say a word and just let them brawl. And then here's Adam Cole on the big screen. Yeah, what he said actually makes sense, but this should have happened just being Cole and him, Cole and Karrion Kross, and not had to deal with the others and then have the others come out and maybe fight. But yeah, it ends into a big brawl that security tries to stop. Karrion Kross ends up annihilating everybody. And then Adam Cole, who was only on the big screen, pops up behind Kross, super kick, and then a sunset drive knee lift into the back of the neck. And Adam Cole is left standing. And yeah, this just weakened the score of this show for me. I'm not opposed to what happened, but I just think it was the wrong placement of the show. I think that the Ember Moon Dakota Kai match was ill placed as well. Just a lot of indecision and a lot being left undone. And I get it. We're going into a pay per view. It's better to leave stuff undone so you could fix it come Sunday. But yeah, I'm not liking it. I will be giving NXT a 3 out of 5. That is still way above average. A good show up until like the last 30 minutes. Um, but NXT definitely always delivers, and I still can't wait for Sunday and NXT Takeover in your house on the Peacock Network or app or whatever the hell it is. I don't know what the hell it is anymore. All I know is that it doesn't make for a bad stream when you're watching a pay per view. Eh. So, as I said though, NXT does deliver. That leaves us to one final thing. Welcome to Grinds My Gears. And tonight it is not just one thing we'll be speaking about. It's not just two, but no, there'll be three different things I'll be ranting about. And first of all, is Charlotte Flair's new character. This whole "you're jealous of me, you're all haters," yada yada bullshit is getting very, very annoying. And I get it, she's got to get heat somehow, but she was getting heat long before this. She is acting like a 16-year-old girl on Facebook. It's very annoying. It's very boring, and it's just not fun to watch. I don't know who told Charlotte Flair, hey, you're going to come back and we're going to give you this new character, but whoever it was, you're an idiot. You should have left Charlotte Flair continuing to act like she always did, that smug Flair look, that I'm the champion and you need to face me, you need to run after me. It should have just been left like that. But Kevin Dunn and the rest of the damn writers got to her and said, hey, go out there and act like everyone hates you because of who you are, not because of what you do. And it's just coming off as shitty. Point number two, Raw's ending. I like Alexa Bliss. I liked her with The Fiend. I'm okay with the Lily character, but this whole Shayna Baszler is now going to be haunted by Lily, and Alexa Bliss is, the master of what Lily does, but not really. And you should not end a wrestling show on a promo like that ever. And if you do, then you better make sure that you do it with somebody that the fans care about. Shayna Baszler is not someone the fans are really that invested in, and I don't think they're going to continue to be invested in just because of this whole ending of Raw. It just was really bad. Um, just as bad as I just mentioned NXT's ending. Yeah, I'd put that in the same case as it. I was liking it when they were in the ring, and I liked the interaction. And then she ran away, and Lily tried to get her. It was just bad. It was like a really bad B movie ending. It wasn't like Chucky. It wasn't like Freddy Krueger. No, this is like those movies that were straight to DVD that you saw next to Child's Play or Nightmare on Elm Street. You're like, Bill, what's that? Maybe I should rent it. Bring it home, and 35 minutes in, you want to chuck the VHS or DVD out the window. That all around. Stop doing that, WWE. Finally, my last and final point, non-finishes in wrestling. What do I mean by that? Archie, what are you talking about, non-finishes in wrestling? Too many damn DQs, countouts, and draws in wrestling. In the span of the last couple of days, I have noticed 4 already. That made no sense, didn't need to happen, and you're trying to push talent, but yet you don't want to let them end out a match and actually get pushed the right way. Case in point, Ricochet versus Humberto Carrillo for the number one contendership of the United States title. Match ends in a double countout, not because Sheamus decided to get involved. No, because these two guys decided to hit a Spanish fly off the ring apron and kill themselves, and they can't make a 10 count. Tonight, Ember Moon versus Raquel Diaz, and the match ends in a DQ because Raquel gets involved. Constant time limit draws. This whole thing with Nikki Cross beating Charlotte and Rhea Ripley in 2 minutes because they had a 2-minute time. There are too many non-finishes in wrestling. Us as wrestling fans need things to actually happen to feel that something has either been started or resolved. You cannot give me a non-finish and expect me to now wait till next week to see how you're going to rectify it. Because, let me guess, you're going to rectify this by making it Ricochet versus Humberto Carrillo versus Sheamus for the United States title at the next pay-per-view at Hell in a Cell. You may even do it inside of Hell in a Cell because you got to have a couple of Cell matches on one pay-per-view. But you're also going to let Sheamus pin Humberto and not Ricochet, and then not give Ricochet a one-on-one title match. So it does nothing for anybody involved, for anybody that's watching. Stop the non-finishes. You want to have one DQ or count on finish in a week or every couple weeks or a show, that's fine. But when you're going to do multiple on one show, multiple on the next, and multiple again on SmackDown, because you guarantee there's going to be something. There was just one on SmackDown this past Friday where Roman Reigns got involved in the rematch for the tag titles, which shouldn't have been a rematch anyway. Ref counted 3, match is over, whatever. He destroyed Dominic and Ray. And as much as I hate Dominic Mysterio, it did nothing for either one of their characters except for try to get sympathy. And guess what? It didn't get sympathy out of me. It made me go, what the fuck? So stop with the non-finishes in wrestling. Give us actual matches that if they're going to go 10, 15, 20 minutes, actually have a damn ending. That is what grinds my gears rant of the week. Thank you for joining me as always. It is always a pleasure to speak to you guys here on WrestleNet Radio. Thank you guys for supporting the We Can't Wrestle podcast, WrestleNet Radio, and all that we do in this community. And once again, thank you for joining me here on episode 6. More to come next week. And I will see you next time on If You Could Smell what the Arch is Cooking.